Writing for Wikipedia. This is Roger Watson, the Editor-in-Chief of the Journal of Advanced Nursing. Wikipedia, I hear you ask. Perhaps you think Wikipedia is full of false information that anyone can edit and add to at will without checks and balances. If you do, then I urge you to think again. A Nature special report compared the scientific information in Wikipedia and Britannica very favourably, and others have called for greater input into Wikipedia by experts. You may also wonder, as an author and an editor, how writing in Wikipedia can benefit you and the community we serve. So what is Wikipedia? Wikipedia is an online encyclopedia, the largest in the world, and the term wiki means that it is a shared endeavour to which many people can contribute. According to Wikipedia, Wikipedia is a multilingual online encyclopedia created and maintained as an open collaboration project by a community of volunteer editors using a wiki-based editing system. Wikipedia is a Wikimedia project and it is crowd-funded by small donations by readers. While some are critical of the funding model, it has no other sources of funding, and there are other spin-offs of Wikimedia such as Wikiversity and the Wiki Journals, for example the Wiki Journal of Medicine, and it's worth noting that there is a Wikipedia Cochrane collaboration. From the user perspective, Wikipedia is free to access and information can be freely shared under an appropriate Creative Commons license. The benefits of Wikipedia. Well, there are many benefits to writing for Wikipedia personally and as a service to our professional community. Wikipedia entries cover a wide variety of subjects, and these include people, places, organisations, diseases, research methods and professions. This list is far from exhaustive, but already you should see that there are potentially many places you can contribute. By adding to existing sites or creating others, you can highlight important people and topics in nursing, and, provided that you appropriately declare it, you can add your own works to Wikipedia pages where it's relevant. By adding to existing sites and creating others, you can highlight important people and topics in nursing, and, provided that you appropriately declare it, you can add your own works to Wikipedia pages where it's relevant. Specifically, if one of your publications is included in a Wikipedia entry, then this gains an altmetric score of 3, compared with a mention on Twitter, which only gains a score of 1. It's often lamented that important figures in nursing, historical and contemporary, are not sufficiently represented in Wikipedia. It's also known that women and people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic groups are underrepresented in Wikipedia. It's pointless being aware of this and complaining about it when the solution is in your hands. You can edit and create Wikipedia entries so you can easily become part of the solution. Nevertheless, Wikipedia does have standards related to what is considered a suitable entry, and the most important thing is that you can support what you're writing by a range of independent, preferably online, sources. With reference to pages about people, the issue of notability is important, and according to Wikipedia, people are presumed notable if they have received significant coverage in multiple published secondary sources that are reliable, intellectually independent of each other, and independent of the subject. Therefore, if you do intend to add an article on someone to Wikipedia, you have to consider these points. New articles are scrutinised by an editor known as a Wikipedian, and if the subject of an article is not sufficiently notable, then the page will be flagged for improvements, or in some cases taken down. While you may liaise with the subject of a Wikipedia page, you should be aware of potential conflicts of interest, and these could include working in the same institution or being a close associate of the person, such as a regular co-author. Conflicts of interest can be declared, but they are best avoided, and will be noted by an editor and sometimes flagged on the article. One particularly problematic aspect of an article about a person is the use of an image of the subject. If you happen to have taken a photograph of the person yourself and you can claim the copyright of that image, then this is the easiest way of adding an image. If you're given an image, and especially if it has previously appeared anywhere on the internet, then you must obtain permission to use it, and independent proof of that permission must be provided to Wikipedia permissions. Otherwise, the image will be taken down. Please note that you should never attempt to create a Wikipedia page about yourself, and if you're lucky enough to have a Wikipedia page, then you must not edit it yourself. Most major nursing organisations, such as the Royal College of Nursing of the United Kingdom, the American Academy of Nursing, Sigma Theta Tau and the International Council of Nursing, have Wikipedia pages. Likewise, the major nursing journals such as Journal of Advanced Nursing, International Journal of Nursing Studies, World Views in Evidence-Based Nursing, and Journal of Nursing Scholarship. These pages vary in their completeness and the extent to which they are up to date, and provided you have a reliable source of reference, then you are free to update these. If you're associated with an organisation or a journal, then you need to be aware of conflicts of interest, and that a Wikipedia page is supposed to be a factual and independent account of the subject, and not a commercial advertisement. Another opportunity of contributing to Wikipedia is through topic pages, and these can be about clinical topics and aspects of research methodology. Where you have the necessary expertise and independent sources to support your edits and additions, you should see this as an opportunity to offer improvements to specific pages. You should have a limited range of pages which you can keep an eye on, edit, and see the changes made by others. Clearly, these types of pages offer the opportunity to add new references to published work and to add your own work. However, your approach should be balanced, and you should be willing to refer to other sources and to make it clear as a conflict of interest that you have made reference to your own work. So how do you write and edit Wikipedia? Anyone can write for and edit Wikipedia. When you read a Wikipedia article, you will note that there are permanent hypertexts inviting edits. You do not even need to have a Wikipedia account. However, I would advise anyone thinking of editing Wikipedia to set up an account whereby you can generate your own username and password. In this way, your contributions to Wikipedia can be tracked and attributed to you, and you can have your own user page where you can record your activities and tell others about yourself. Also, Wikipedians can correspond with you, often to tell you about something you should not have done, especially when you begin working in Wikipedia. Sometimes they will revert changes you have made if they consider that they do not meet the appropriate standard. This is all part of the Wikipedia learning process. It's possible to make changes anonymously without logging in, but your IP address becomes visible to all readers. If you persist in making errors or try to edit to a lower standard, for example by inserting inaccurate or unsupported points, then your IP address will be blocked for a period. Likewise, your Wikipedia account can be blocked. It must be said that editing Wikipedia pages is not easy. When you go to edit, you will be given the choice of a visual editor, or you may use the HTML, the hypertext markup language. The visual editor is good for editing pieces of text, and it looks like editing a Word document. While there are other tools to help you edit specific features, such as inserting references, it's almost always necessary at some point to use the HTML. This requires some mastery. My advice is not to try to learn every aspect of the HTML, rather you can look for features you commonly need to insert, such as references in websites and Wikipedia pages. Go to Edit and copy the HTML used there. You can keep a store of useful pieces of HTML in a Word document for regular use. If you make a mistake and are concerned that you may not be able to correct it, simply cancel the editing process without publishing the page, and it will revert to the original. Each time you make a change prior to publishing it, you will be asked to describe the change and whether it is minor or that others need to watch that page. You can bypass this step, but it's less useful to others who may make subsequent edits. I'd like to see more nurses involved with Wikipedia, and more nurses and aspects of nursing represented there. If you only use Wikipedia occasionally or have avoided but would like to contribute, then look at some pages of interest to you and see if you can improve these. If there are obvious gaps in Wikipedia, then see if you can fill them.
This podcast was produced in association with youpublicationslimited.com.
Hello, anybody there?
Oh, hello, I'm Julian, this is my friend Sam.
Oh, right, it's